right, hello.
Hi.
So I'm Brittany and this is Deanna, and we are collaborating on a project together called Mother's Mindful Movement. I am um, a part of my business that I've created called Fall in Love with Movement, and I am a personal trainer, yoga instructor, group exercise instructor, and event coordinator for wellness events. And the reason I wanted to collaborate with Deanna was because we both are really knowledgeable about careful training postpartum, and we both wanted to create programs and resources for mothers who want to get back into fitness or just feeling great in their everyday life. And yeah, we're excited to be here. Deanna, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm Deanna. I'm an occupational therapist and I'm the owner of Restorative Solutions. Um, I got on like the women's health, don't want to say bandwagon, but started really researching more about it after some health issues I started having once I got to my 40s. And there wasn't a lot of information even out there postpartum, like when I had my kids. But like with researching and learning about my own stuff, like once you're postpartum, you're always, postpartum doesn't matter if it's, 6 weeks, a couple years, or 20 years down the line. We all have a pelvic floor. If you've birthed children, you may not have some signs or symptoms um, until way later on. So, through my own journey, I've come to have this passion to help women so they don't have to go through like what I went through with, the medical system. So I'm happy to be collaborating with Brittany. Um, I think we have a good, she's very exercise knowledge based with her background. I have a lot of like the medical and rehab background. And I think together it goes well to help people achieve their goals to either start an exercise program, get back to an exercise program, or just to feel better and more confident about, their lives after, having children.
Awesome. What are some of the changes in your body that you noticed that made you reach out and try to look for these resources?
So, like most people, after have, and I always thought this was normal, like, you would have problems when you would sneeze, you might have some leakage, things like that. Um, I always assumed that was normal. I always assumed because I worked in nursing homes doing rehab for the majority of my career that leaking or having incontinence when you're age was like a normal part of aging. And come to find out, it really isn't. And doctors, other providers see, there's not a lot of uh, education to like my parents' generation about you don't have to live like this. Maybe even the generation that's coming before me, between me and my parents, maybe they don't have as much information. We don't have to live like that. We don't have to leak when we sneeze or jump or pick up our kids or anything like that. So we need to normalize like what's normal, what's not, and how we can help each other. I think there needs to be, more education out there for women to know about our bodies and how we're changing as we age and what we can do to help ourselves.
Absolutely. I've noticed there's a myriad of issues that happen after you have the baby that we weren't really prepared for or told about. Like having core pain and back pain, and realizing that that kind of all is wrapped into your pelvic floor health was something that really shocked me. That's why I'm excited that we're coming up with ways to educate women about how to be mindful about their body and tune in and see how it's all connected. Because like you said, these little issues that we think are normal, they're actually a part of a bigger system that works together that we can work with to heal it and help us. Like for me personally, I have diastasis recti, the ab separation that 60% of moms get if they've had 2 or more babies. And I felt a lot of pain with exercise. My low back has issues. I mean, I have a spine injury, but even before the spine injury, it was a lot of pain in my back, a lot of pressure in my hips. And I just felt really weak and unstable. So I didn't even really think about how that was all correlated until I did learn and dig deeper into what diastasis recti is and how it's like from the bottom, where your pelvic floor is, all the way to your core. It's like a zipper. It works together like a zipper. You want to make sure that everything kind of, connects together and is strong and functioning properly.
I agree. Yeah. The whole thing about pressure management, we don't think of our core and pelvic floor as one canister type system with our back in the back, the pelvic floor underneath, and the abs that wrap around. And learning to coordinate that when we exercise or even day to day activities, vacuuming or picking up your child or laundry and how sneezing, having a bowel movement, other things like that, if you are not managing your pressures well, you put too much pressure on the pelvic floor and you could have leakage. You could have pain with like the diastasis because the pressure has to go somewhere. So it's going to go to that least restrictive area. So if you have the ab separation, it's gonna go out the front. Or you can have back pain. You can have leakage when it goes down. So like learning that information has been such like a game changer for me and how I approach some of my weaknesses that I have, especially with trying to make sure that I don't strain when going to the bathroom. Um, because I don't want to increase my risk of like prolapse. I've had a hysterectomy, so I have to like without a uterus, you don't have it helps hold everything up there. You can have bladder problems and some issues with prolapse as you age. So it's important not to be like straining and make sure you're managing your pressures when you are exercising and stuff so that you don't, um, um, I don't want to say cause. I want to make sure because I don't want to scare anybody or whatever, but, just managing myself so that I don't cause any extra problems down the road that I may have to manage. And, I don't think that providers like OBGYNs, urogynecologists, I don't think they really explain a lot of that as we age, even if you've had procedures about what you should do. They don't really prescribe pelvic floor therapy or tell you a lot about, it's just like, don't do these things, go live your life. Not how to, you need to watch for X, Y, and Z. You may need to, see a therapist or another provider to make sure that you are strong or engaging the right muscles at the right time, so you're not putting that pressure and causing more problems down the line. So
yeah, I agree. I've noticed And it's kind of bold to say, so if somebody doesn't agree, it's fine. But I've kind of noticed with like the with OBGYNs and you know your physician and things like that, they just want to make sure that they can address emergencies when they come up. They don't really tune into like preventative care before you know the big thing happens. So I think it's really important for people to be knowledgeable about how to live their day-to-day life in a way where they're mindful about their movements and these little habits that can really, you know, build a healthy foundation for our bodies. Um, and yeah, pelvic floor therapy is super awesome. And I'm so glad that it's more common now. It'd be great if it was more, um, you know, way more common, maybe even mandatory. That would be great. That would be really good for people because I know for me, I just went to a traditional OBGYN, my first child's, and it really was centered around let's make sure you're healthy for your baby, make sure you're able to deliver your baby and a healthy baby, which I was grateful for, of course. But then postpartum, it was just let's make sure that, you know, the stitch is healed and you're on your way. Um, but then when I went to, I had a midwife and saw people that I felt were a little bit more hands-on with explaining things to me so I could um, be more wholesome and healthy postpartum. So that was the first time I had that diastasis recti being checked out by a medical professional. So I thought that was really important, but still at the same time, it was, you know, immediate postpartum care, not something that's going to help educate me to carry on my life and fully take care of myself, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, we should be addressing some of these things, like even when you're in the prenatal period, because
Yeah.
pushing like that and pressure management with that, that could change, like, and learning how to breathe and open the pelvic floor better so that you don't, maybe you decrease your risk of tearing. I tore with both of my kids and I had to have an episiotomy. I didn't know. Maybe you should be doing some perianal massage and stuff like that to, help those tissues. So, there are things that we're missing, like things are a whole lot better within the last 2 years or so, with just the movement of women, you know, talking about these things that are like taboo. Like you don't talk about aging, you don't talk about like, um, you know, is this what I'm going through? Is this normal or not? Like it,
Mhm.
we need to have a conversation and we need support. And I think the more people talk about it, um, you know, it's, good for everyone. Um, Regardless of, where you are in life, what, um, everybody comes from a different like standpoint on a lot of things, and that's fine. But, I think we need to have a safe space for people to come and to talk about and to not feel, because like my physicians and stuff, they made me feel crazy. Like when I started having my women's health problems, and it made me feel like it was all in my head, and like, they brushed off. It wasn't until I found a provider that listened to me, and she's like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Let's take care of it. But like I had some trauma because it made me feel like I was like weird and like I was just making things up,
Yeah.
but I'm not. So, and then that was a relief. So I think as women, we just need to be able to have a safe space and to learn about our bodies and, support one another, because like I might help someone that's coming, up behind me that might be having, you know, the same problems I did, or you help another person that might be dealing with, diastasis. Um, you know, because we're all different and how we, because there's not two people the same. I've worked in rehab. Everybody's like, oh, how long is it going to take me to get over this? Well, you're not the same. Everybody's different. We all have different, contributing factors that make us who we are. So, we just need to be there to, support each other and help each other through, womanhood.
Definitely. I think, men have like a pretty straightforward path as they go through life. They just have like, their hormones are pretty steady. They have, and there's obviously things that men should be mindful of and address as well for their full health.
Mhm.
But we go through so many wild changes, like from the moment we start our cycle, and then we can have babies,
Yeah.
um, and then going through menopause. These are all things that fully impact our lives, not only just our physical body but our mental health. And we're kind of told that, oh, it's just a part of it, like, oh, you'll be fine, and then like they normalize like the snapback of women, oh, she looks just like she did, I can't believe her body bounced back, or um, get your pre-baby body back programs for fitness, workout programs and things like that. But really, like, once you have these changes, you're changed, and it's good to navigate it in a way where you don't feel lost and disconnected from your body because it's something new. It's good to
Mhm.
have a community that can explain, like, this is what happens, this is how you navigate it, and how you navigate it healthily too.
Yes, I agree that. Yeah, 'cause I'm coming in onto that, perimenopause era of my life, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, am I going crazy? Because you'll be fine, and then you're crying, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're like, okay, and then it's like I feel anxious, and I'm not sleeping, and it's like, you know, it's crazy. But and the thing is that this whole and this is new for me. Like some people can start into perimenopause like in their mid 30s, around 35.
Yeah.
You can still be having babies. Women are having children, later in life. So, you know, pregnancy and you know changing in like into that perimenopause or like deal with and navigate. But and so I think it's good that we're talking about this, that we're getting it out there, because obviously not all providers spend enough time and listen to what's going on, because they're have a lot of clients to see during their day. So it's important to get the information out there for women so that we can, help each other.
Definitely. And like I said before, I don't think it's like malpractice or just neglect on doctors' parts. Like you said, they're busy. They want to make sure that everybody's surviving and everyone's, taking care of those big emergency issues. But leading up to the big issues, there's things that we can do to help it. And I learned a statistic, and I don't remember the exact number, but it could be something that people can look up. But there's a really large percentage of women past a certain age. I think it's past 60, and it's over 50% of women deal with pelvic prolapse. So pelvic floor prolapse, where things kind of fall down.
Mhm.
um, and I think a lot of that has to do with just us as women believing that once we have the baby, suck it up, move forward, only pay attention to your children and give them everything and work hard. And we really need to step back and just kind of take a moment to feel how we're feeling, to address the issues as they come up, and also to be mindful about how we're living our lives. even the way we sit could be something that adds a lot of pressure to our pelvic floor. And I know you're talking about using the toilet a certain way. I know a lot of people say to put a stool under their feet. Is that something that you tell people to do?
Yeah, the squatty potty, or whatever works, whatever you have. If you have old
Mhm.
telephone books or, toilet paper or whatever, um, if we get our feet up and our knees a little bit over our hips, it puts there's a muscle that, and I can't think of it off the top of my head right now, but that helps to keep the rectum closed. And when we're sitting, it helps to relax it. But if you get your feet up, more it relaxes and it puts your pelvis in a better position so the rectum can, and the colon, so you can empty with less, straining.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of people, if we can learn how to breathe better and open and relax and sit in a better posture, then you could have an easier time than straining and causing other issues like down the road, with back pain or prolapse. So, yeah, just a simple thing as getting our feet up when we're sitting on the toilet can make a big difference.
Yeah, and I heard too that like hovering, if you're in a public
Oh,
restroom, that's something that can really harm your pelvic floor too.
mhm.
Be mindful of that. Um, yeah, so when you have, let's say you have a client that comes to you with pelvic floor dysfunction as an occupational therapist, what are some of the tips and, you know, rehabilitation processes that you'll go through?
So we generally do like an overall like assessment, like question about like, are you having pain in general with anything? And we look at your posture and your strength and your movement patterns to see like kind of where you are and what you're doing. And then we get way down to the basics and we look at breathing. Are you breathing? Do you have a dysfunctional breathing pattern? Is your rib cage and all moving effectively, or are you kind of stuck and that's causing, um, pressure when it doesn't need to be? And then we look at those systems or weaknesses, or if something's tight, and we try to, relax something that is like, high tension, or overworked, and strengthen the low tension or not working, properly muscle groups. Um, so we start there at the way basics and learning how to breathe properly. And then, once we get people moving better and can, start with exercise programs, then they can, go to like you, Brittany, and, continue on with their fitness journeys, safely and appropriately. And then, if the load and force or whatever they're doing, as they further their fitness journey, depending on that load and where they are, they may need to come back and visit, pelvic floor therapy to see
Mhm.
like, and, learn more advanced techniques or figuring out what's too much for someone, gauging that just right fit for where you are, because you can't go from, walking to running a marathon in, you know, yeah, a couple days or weeks or whatever. The body takes time to recover and rebuild itself with anything. So sometimes you may have to visit back to, figure out like, okay, well, all of this looks good. So where's that breakdown occurring? So that you can continue with that fitness, journey. And, having a partner that, can help you and finds that it's important and is knowledgeable about women's health issues, will help you with, your exercise routine and, making sure that you're breathing properly and your posture and stuff, because it makes a big difference down the line.
It really does, especially with if somebody is getting into a program that's weight training or even cardio. It's really important to address like posture deviations if there's any, because putting your shoulders forward like this could add pressure to your core. So if somebody comes up to me and wants to train and wants me to build a program for them, and they're postpartum, where they say all the signs where I can tell that they possibly would have um, some pelvic floor weakness, I make sure that I structure the program in a way where I know that they're building that mindfulness about how they're breathing, how they're moving, how their posture is. So like a simple way to think about it whenever you're pushing or pulling with weight training, you always want to have that breath out. So let's say you're pulling a rope, you want to inhale first through your nose and then pull down, breathe out, fully activate your core. And then if you're pushing, you're going to push, breathe out, fully activate your core. That simple movement is going to trigger and activate the transverse abdominis muscles that wraps from your back to the front of your core. And that's going to protect the core that way. And then there's certain workouts that you want to avoid if you do have pelvic floor weakness or a separation in your abs. You want to avoid crunches, sit-ups, sometimes planks. So there's a lot of different workouts out there that you can do that could still strengthen your core without adding that additional pressure to your core. And it's basically how I help people build like a healthy foundation for exercise when they have those issues. And for me, having those issues, it was pretty bad for me at first, where I had to slowly build up to be able to run again, because running is something I really love. So any kind of bouncing, jumping, my feet like hitting the pavement, that was something that added like extra pressure, leaking, pain, things like that. So starting with gentle, like stepping side to side, just walking for a while, strengthening my ankles, working on my breathing, all these things put the pieces together so I could hit that goal of being able to run again without pain and pelvic floor dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're working on a book together. So I want to talk a little bit about our book. So,
Sure.
yeah. I think the book is going great so far. We're listing some of these common issues that we're talking about here, and then also solutions and how to really build a healthy knowledge base when it comes to these things. And yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about your portion of the book that you've been working on?
So the part I've started working on is just basically giving people some information about the pelvic floor and building that foundation so you understand like how it works, and why it's important to manage your pressure, and learning that like Kegels are not the answer for everything. I mean, we do need to know how to squeeze and lift properly, and that those muscles do that. But if your doctor's just telling you that is what you're going to do to keep, stop having linkage, then we need a better plan, because some people with a tight, overactive pelvic floor, they don't want to keep doing that. They need to relax and work on lengthening type work to relax those tight muscles, because a tight muscle is a weak muscle. And if we just keep trying to strengthen a tight muscle, it's just tight and we're causing a problem.
Yeah.
So we're the book's going to lay a foundation and give people some knowledge that they probably aren't getting anywhere else unless they're Googling stuff. And not that Google, there's anything wrong with Googling, but you have to be careful about where you're getting your information from. Um, so, laying the foundation for like the pelvic floor, its functions, and then, the basics on how to start a pelvic floor routine to decrease incontinence, back pain, stuff. Working on our breathing, our mechanics. So that's the portion of the book I've been working on. But I'm excited. We're going to have movement exercises in the book as well.
Yeah.
To help people progress and their journey, to healing and to getting back to what they want to do. But we also have different sections on how hormones, and I know that that's something that's important to you, as well as how hormones and our bodies, how they recover after pregnancy too.
Yeah. I'm excited about that part too, because I know that I had no idea about any of that after I had my children. I didn't understand the mood fluctuations and just how, like, one day I'll just be completely tired, even if I did get that, sleeping, because the prolactin in my body is raised so I can nurse my son, and all that, all those things, all those pieces that come with having a child. I think having that knowledge and understanding how our bodies are working really helps to kind of soothe us when we feel like we're, almost losing our minds after we had our baby. And I really like the pieces too about how to, like, address those mood swings whenever we're dealing with them, and practices that can ease those symptoms. And we're really emphasizing breathing, because not only does proper breathing help with your physical health, but also your mental health. So it's something that we're going to break down pretty thoroughly, and we've introduced it a bit now, but I think that is also something that people don't really think about. And it's, we're busy, we have a lot on our plate. So I love that this is going to be a book that just narrows everything down together, so people have a guide to really help them in probably one of their most vulnerable states that they'll be in life. And I wish I had something like that when I was going through it. So it's just really cool to me that we're working on it together.
Yes, I like that you mentioned that, because I think another section I'm going to add to the book is all about like the vagus nerve,
Yeah.
and how it is the largest nerve in the body, and it helps regulate the fight or flight or rest and digest. And there's things that we can do to help regulate it when we're feeling anxious or needing to relax. And so that's going to be, something that we can add and bring to the table to help moms, whatever your age or stage after having the baby is, to help you manage and regulate that. I think we all, especially after COVID, have an upticked our nervous system, needs to calm down and relax. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be really good for a lot of people, no matter their stage, and it's a living and breathing thing, because over time, things change in the fitness and in the medical field as we learn a lot more about stuff. So we can continue to add and bring more, and that's why the group itself is good too. Because we have a living, breathing place to work out of with real people too.
Yeah, addressing their, unique experiences and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I know, like, again, with the cortisol, that stress hormone release, creating fight or flight, even something like that is going to tense all of our muscles. So breathing, is so deep when you get down to it, how much it affects you, because like you were saying, you can't always have tense, clenched pelvic floor muscles and doing Kegels all the time. You need to be able to relax your body and get the blood flowing correctly, get the feel good hormones flowing through your body so everything functions properly, and you're able to rest, relax everything, not only just in your life but your pelvic floor. And that helps with, you know I know a lot of women experience painful sex when they have pelvic floor issues. That's something that is helped with understanding proper breathing and being able to relax and feel good. So honestly, like, it's a piece of a puzzle to such a big picture that can improve your life in so many ways. So I'm just super excited about it all.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. So wrapping up, is there anything else we should cover really quick before we go?
Um, no, I think you did. The stop hovering over the toilet
Yeah.
is a big one. So you don't
Mhm.
relax your pelvic floor and your bladder doesn't relax,
Yeah.
to empty the bladder. So if we can stop doing that, it would be a make a world of difference.
Oh yeah. Game changer. And the
Uh-huh.
posture too. I'm just gonna really quick run over posture. So a good way to think about it and look at it is, you want to start your head above your heart above your hips above your feet or the ground if you're sitting. Something that really helps me quickly adjust my posture without forcing it or overthinking it is, a lot of the times we sit directly on our tailbone. We kind of are leaned back, but you want to make sure that you adjust yourself to where you're sitting on the backs of your thighs. And with that, it just naturally holds your body up. So it's an easy fix. Just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, and then just check in with yourself regularly throughout the day. If you're sitting in the car and you notice you're leaning or you're slouching or you're just, sitting in a way that you don't even think about because you think it's more, relaxing, it's actually doing some harm. So I just hope everyone can be mindful of their postures and how they're sitting to help everything function properly.
Yes. I like the high ponytail, so that's like my
Mhm.
one, like regardless of where I am or where I'm doing, or if my back is hurting, like if I've been
Yeah.
standing a lot, I'll be like, I'll just kind of, oh yeah, my shoulders are forward. I need a high ponytail, and then you know, that's just an easy, quick thing that you can do to like fix yourself in a moment if you don't have a mirror to,
Mhm.
check yourself out in.
Yeah, and I know too, a lot of people when they think high posture, they all of a sudden they stand really tall, maybe they flare their ribs out, suck in, their shoulders come up because they're trying to be as tall as possible. But it's important
Mhm.
to also, once you have that aligned posture, check in, how are my shoulders? You want to drop your shoulders down. You want to make sure that your ribs aren't flared, that sucking in that a lot of us do. That puts a lot of pressure too on the pelvic floor. You want to make sure your ribs are dropped down and tucked in, and that's gonna help with that core strengthening when you're walking too.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And for those who have listened and taken the time out to hear the whole podcast, we appreciate you. Stay tuned for the book. We're still working on it. And feel free to comment and stay interactive with the group. You can post your own posts as well. If you have any questions and you just want to talk to other people who are going through the same thing as you, we encourage you to create your own posts, and we would love to hear from you.
Yes. No judgment zone. Like there's no stupid questions. There's nothing if you can message one of us and we can post it for you, or if you just don't want to post it all, if you have questions, you can message, leave a DM, and, we can, answer your questions or what have you as well. There's some other things going to come down the pike, hopefully, through the more live videos and stuff to come as we get content created. So I'm excited, and I hope that if I help one person, that I hope to help many, many more. But for me, every one person, that's a win.
Absolutely. That's someone's life that's improved, and that means everything. We also have an event coming up in June that we'll be posting soon too. And then in the future, we'll have some programs to help people a little bit more directly. Yeah, so the group is growing, and we're excited for more people to come in and join us.
Yeah, if you know someone that might be the group might be helpful for, invite them to the group.
Yep. And I'll probably post this too through YouTube, Spotify, all that. So find us at Mothers Mindful Movement on Facebook. It's a Facebook group, and our logo picture is like a lotus flower with peach and green. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you. I had a good time.
Me too. All right.